You want a better relationship with your partner. You want to be a better father, a better mom. You want to have a better career. You want to feel more hope in your life. Whatever it is that you want, how bad do you want it? Because the price is pain. I just want to say that I am a witness of this, that it really is a reality. Your past pain door can be completely closed. What would you say to somebody that's like, spiritual teacher, is this really going to be worth it?
I think that in order to know whether or not something's worth it, you have to.
Acting on emotions as guides to truth. Stillness. Surrendering to what is. Seeking. Using my gifts with purpose. Light. This is the emotional blueprint.
Okay, so podcast announcement. Two things. The first is we want you to ask questions. Ernest, no, audience. We want you guys to ask questions. And so you can go to theemotionalblueprint.com. There's a form on the very bottom. And if you have specific questions that you have, just fill it out and send it to us. And we're going to start incorporating that into every podcast. So the other thing is we talk about a lot of steps and a lot of diagrams. Mm-hmm. And you can go to the digest section of the website. And then there's like a resources tab. And there's a bunch of PDFs that you can download and check those out. So
they're awesome. Check them out.
Nice. Cool. Let's dive in.
Let's do it.
I think the best way to bring the right spirit in here is to tell an beautiful story that I wrote down. Okay, so this story is from one of my clients, a true story that she gave me permission to share. And I just changed her name to kind of, preserve her identity a little bit. So the story goes, few mothers have loved more fiercely than Sarah. Hers was a love of sacrifice, a love that never hesitated and never wavered. She was there always at the drop of a hat, lifting her children with words and quiet strength. It was painful to have her son battle his addiction to alcohol. Her son Isaac carried deep wells of emotion, raw, creative, and full of life. Music, skateboarding, and friends filled his days, but inside he battled shadows of sadness and shame. Words unspoken and burdens heavy to bear. Over time, those unhealed wounds grew heavier. One night after drinking, Isaac opened up with his girlfriend. Sensing his distress, she stepped away to get help. When she returned, Isaac was gone. He had taken his own life. The news shattered Sarah, his mom. The morning after feeling deep sadness at her loss, she sat in stillness on the curb outside of his apartment. As the first light of dawn broke, her head was bowed, her eyes were full of tears, and she saw it. Etched in the concrete, it said, Isaac rules. The sunrise hit the letters, illuminating them like Isaac's spirit himself was tracing those letters from his soul. In that sacred moment, her grief lifted, if only for a breath. Love, unbound by time, wrapped itself around her. She knew Isaac's spirit was not lost, but healing. He was on a journey toward peace, just like she was. And in that stillness, she felt it, a peace beyond all understanding, and one that spanned past, present, and future, a bridge of truth unbroken. I love that story. I love it more because it's a true story and someone that I know who's an amazing woman. And any thoughts, man? initial thoughts on that?
Something that I've had a few conversations recently about is how hard sometimes it is to see the blessings that come from suffering. And when we're in pain, like how those things can sometimes be the most powerful messages that we get. I think it's just really beautiful that to know that God's always watching, that he's always trying to bless you. I think that that's really special that she was able to have that experience and feel that peace afterwards. What a great blessing to have after something so sad.
That's beautiful, man. Thank you. There's this really beautiful scripture in the Bible, and it says something like, no trial in the moment is joyous, but grievous. But nevertheless, but it says afterward, it yieldeth the peaceable fruit unto those who are exercised thereby. Something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So all of us need to hear stories like this because it reminds us that feeling and going towards our pain is worth it. It's never worth it in the moment. It's grievous.
Mm-hmm.
But afterward, it yieldeth this peaceable fruit. And so we're going to talk about what that peaceable fruit actually is. We're not saying it's like one or a few things, but there's some general gifts that come when we feel pain. And it's so good to know what those are.
Yeah.
So my first question for you, sir, is
Let's hear it.
What are the gifts that come from surrendering to pain and feeling it?
I think one of my favorite ones is vision or sight. You get to see things as they really are. When you look through pain or work through pain, you get a chance to clear the proverbial fog and see what's past that. That's something that pain can give you. Through pain, you can gain new perspective. Something else that pain has given me in my experience is an increase of love or capacity for other people. That one's really important. I think in being who I'm supposed to be, I need to continue to increase my capacity and serve and help, and that fulfills me. So I have to go through pain to get there.
Mm-hmm. Those are two beautiful ones. Let's talk about both of those just for a second because they're so good. The first is just from feeling pain and beginning to let go of it, we are blessed with the gift of vision. I love the metaphor of a seed.
Mm-hmm.
A seed is planted in the ground. It can't see anything. And it has to break out of its shell. So just imagine us, there's a shell over us. We are a seed in many ways. And when we feel pain, we begin to break out of that shell and to grow out of the ground. And there's no limits to how high we can grow and how much we can see. I love that metaphor because it's always so interesting as a therapist to see like where are people at in that seed process, in that growth process? Are they still in the ground, encased in the seed, or So that's always been a powerful metaphor for me.
Yeah, I love the imagery of like the dark earth, this dark, damp earth that you're in, and you're pushing out, and you can reach up, and the whole like. What do you get out of the pain, outside past the pain? You get to see the sun. You get to have your face, like the sun on your face, so to speak, when you blossom.
Wow.
And I just love that analogy. That's a good one.
That's a pretty I never even thought of that because that's so beautiful because as soon as we start to feel pain, it's dark. We're in darkness. And it doesn't take long. Sometimes it's immediately after, not always, but usually it's pretty soon after when we surrender to pain and we feel it, that we grow out of the ground. And it's like, oh my gosh, it's like a secret new world.
Yeah.
Does everyone else know about this?
Seriously, that's kind of how you feel.
It's how you feel.
Yeah.
It's a great secret. And, and what's beautiful, the other gift that comes from feeling pain is it actually creates quite a lot of humility. because the taller your tree grows, the taller you grow, the more you realize what you don't know. It's like you're actually gaining more wisdom, but through the process of gaining more wisdom, you realize, oh my gosh, how vast the world is, how vast knowledge and wisdom is. It's like, whoa, that's probably been, I've obviously only had glimpses of that in my life, like pieces of that, but that has helped me spiritually more than anything, is being willing to surrender to pain. And God knows I need more humility. So it's like, it's good,
Yeah.
So that's another cool gift. I want to talk about the love thing that you said, but any other thoughts on what we're chatting about? Third gift that comes from feeling pain. And by the way, before we lay some of these other ones out, we are going to talk about what we haven't probably talked about enough is how specifically do you actually feel pain? How do you access it? That is coming up in just a moment, listener. So we haven't talked about that enough, and we need to break that down a little bit so that it's a little bit more applicable, application to that. But the love thing is really cool, especially in, I remember talking to Kimberly in one of the earlier podcasts, and she said something like, every time you feel pain, it has to be replaced with something else to complete the healing process. And initially I'm like, I don't know if that's true, Kimberly. I actually, on the podcast, I'm like, I don't know if that's true. And then as we started to talk about it, I'm like, oh my gosh, like she's kind of blowing my mind right now. Like she's right. And it really opened up this visual that we've been talking about of pain. When we go through difficult pain or loss, it actually carves a hole out into our soul.
Like a reservoir.
And guess what? That hole never goes away. But we can clear the pain out. And so let's say you go through something really painful. I just keep thinking of Kimberly right now because she has. So she has a deep hole of pain that has been carved out in her life. And okay, she clears that pain out. It's really deep and that hole is there. But now she has a greater capacity to feel love. She's carved out deeper, allowing for more love. And I'm kind of botching it, but I wrote down something that just explains this better. The deeper that sorrow carves into our soul, the more joy and love you can contain, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
So again, no pain in the moment is joyous, but it's grievous. But if you exercise it, if you feel it, if you let it in and you go through this healing process, it yields the peaceable fruit, I believe, is this added measure of joy and love. And this is why people are honestly able to feel grateful for their pain and their
Trials
suffering
and things. Yeah. Well, I really love like when you really start to look at pain and you really start to learn about how to work through pain and everything, you start to, like you said, you start to feel some sort of gratitude that it's something that you can experience because of what it does for you. The idea, for me personally, I always think of analogies in relations to like a gardener or something like that. And in order to, growing up, I watched my dad. He had a Japanese pear orchard. And
oh, cool.
Yeah, he's like, we're going to make millions. But no, we didn't, but we love the fruit.
35 cents later.
Yeah. But we spent like 2 seasons working on these trees. I watched my dad a lot, grafting and cutting down branches, pruning them, letting them grow correctly, not harvesting in the first season, but waiting for the second yield. Things like that about the process. You understand that you have to, in some people's eyes, hurt the tree in order to help the tree, that the tree won't grow unless you prune. And that's a painful process in some eyes. Some people might see it that way. And we have to liken ourselves to that process, that it's not just pain. Yeah, it feels bad, but what will it give you? Where can it take you?
This story brings on whole new meaning to your nickname, Japanese Jesus, because he too also grafted many.
I just watched and learned. I didn't participate.
Yeah, that's so cool though. There's we talked about this before, another gift that comes from feeling pain is men struggle with this more, but there's so many people that actually believe from an intellectual perspective that if I feel this pain, it is going to make me weak. It's weakness.
Mm, totally.
And that is a direct deception of the ego or Satan. And we're going to talk about the ego more in just a second.
Mm-hmm.
But the one thing that we need the most is healing and vision and all these and love. That's these things that we're talking about. And accessing pain and letting go of it is how we develop that deep inside of us. So of course, Satan or the ego is going to try to stop us from doing that by believing this is going to make you weaker. And that's what he's so good at. What Satan is so good at is it actually does make us weaker temporarily for a moment. And then we get quite strong.
Tricky. It's like a quarter truth.
Exactly.
That's
He's
messed up.
Dude.
You can't be doing that, Satan. Come on.
So messed up. But it works on so many people.
It really does, yeah.
And it especially works for people that maybe haven't heard people's story and like, oh my gosh, like that can really happen. Like this hope of like, wow, I can really feel more love and joy in my life if I let go of this pain. People need to hear what we're talking about because I've been through it. And not all of it, obviously. And I know you've been through it. So like when pain comes up for us, it's like becomes natural for us to surrender because we want the growth. We want the gifts.
Yeah.
We're like, oh my gosh, like more humility, more joy, more love. Like sign me up for such a small price.
A temporary.
And it really is such a small price. It honestly, if you're ready to feel the pain, it honestly lasts like 30 seconds, a minute. Now, if it's really deep, you know, it's probably just not like a one-time thing, and we'll talk more about that. But this book that we've been reading together lately, The Prophet by Kahlil Gibran, it's 100 years old. Just to sum up, I love what he said. This is good stuff. He's talking about pain, and he says, "It is the bitter potion by which the physician within you heals your sick self." So pain is the bitter potion by which the physician within, which I think is our spirit, heals our sick self. It's really powerful. So he says, trust your internal physician and drink his remedy in silence and tranquility. For his hand, though heavy and hard, is guided by the tender hand of the unseen. So trust this internal physician, your spirit. Drink of his remedy in silence and tranquility. For the hand of pain, though it's heavy and hard, is always guided by the tender hand of God or the unseen.
I think it's very interesting that he uses the word bitter potion, that he uses bitter to describe the potion. That's pretty realistic.
It's very bitter.
Yeah, it isn't going to be sweet to take.
Imagine drinking something bitter. You're like, oh.
But it might make you feel better.
Lasts like 5 seconds, the bitterness.
Once that, like, you know how you're taking like those turmeric shots or something, like
I hate
those
them.
health shots.
I took one today because I'm not feeling very good.
And they burn the little cayenne burn in the chest, and then it goes away after a few seconds, you know, and you're like, man, I feel better now. But it says to take the bitter potion in silence and tranquility. I don't know what else seems like humility to me, but that sounds like submissiveness and humility.
Just beautiful words. The most sacred space I've ever been a part of personally in my life, in my own story, and with people that I've seen, is the most sacred space is when we feel pain, when we choose to feel it. We really are. I wish we could see it spiritually, but I have seen it to some degree spiritually. We are literally held by hands of angels and these beautiful, sacred, it's a very sacred space. When I was 19 years old, I moved from Idaho to Utah and with my dad. And it was one of the first times in my life that I began to have more like silence and like, and tranquility. I left all like my party friends or whatever and moved to a new state in my dad's basement and had all this silence and tranquility. What began to start to emerge for me was this deep sense of like guilt because I knew I had been living a path of darkness for years, basically my whole life. And I haven't shared this experience very much. I remember this moment where this guilt was just like, I started going back to church a little bit, and this guilt was just like building and building. And it wasn't that it was building, it was like being uncovered. It was all stored and it was like just being uncovered. And I don't even feel like this was a choice, even though I looking back, it was. We always have a choice. But I chose to just like feel so horrible and feel so bad about, everything that I've done. It was like a genuine sorrow for people that I've wronged and the emptiness that I was creating. And I remember praying, and after I prayed, I just felt this heavy, like warm blanket, just this, it's like someone came behind me and just like hugged me from behind. And it was more real. It was just as real as someone physically coming behind me. And as soon as that hug embraced me, it was like an instant like rushing of, it just all went away. And I never smiled. And I remember walking around in the basement, just like this huge, huge, like eye to eye smile. And I couldn't get it off. And I'm like, I know who it was now. It was Christ. My life started to change after that. I sense that. I see that at least once a week at my job. It's like what the Native Americans say, that silence is a symbol of like respect and like reverence. When someone's feeling that, I'm forbidden to say anything. I've tried before. And like, it's just something beautiful is happening. If you don't believe in Christ or whatever, that's fine. But there's the reality is there's a real healing presence to it. It's real. It really does go away.
It really is a sacred space.
And the most sacred.
And sacred things happen in those spaces when you let them.
I just can never deny that experience and how just the contrasts of like how much pain I was feeling to just an exquisite amount of like joy. It was like, so, and that has never left me. My life, like I said, my life changed at that point. It's never been the same. I love this part of this gift of feeling pain strengthens our spirit to a point where it becomes more a part of us than our own physical self.
Can you say that again?
Yes. Feeling pain strengthens our spirit to a point where it begins to become more a part of us than our own physical self. So we're going to talk about this more when we talk about the ego, but how important it is to be connected with who we really are, which is not our physical body, which is not our physical self, but it is our spirit. And when we feel pain, we're entering that
space.
Yep. And it's like it's a strengthening. It becomes more a part of us. Any other thoughts on the gifts that come from feeling pain?
I just think about what you just shared, and it's not just that your guilt was taken away, but you got to see what it is when it's not there. You got to see what is without that. And that's where this new perspective and new joy came in and filled that space for you. Is there's something else other than this that I was feeling? Wow. And it's not bad. Wow. I have nothing but joy. I can't contain how happy I am that it's not this. I understand that feeling. I felt that. I think a lot of us have felt that. Just once you feel the relief, that in and of itself just helps you do something great with it because you have all this energy and you're happy that it changed and you feel this relief. And that's a special thing too, which is a very big gift that I believe that God gives you once you have gone through the pain. He lets you fill the space with what good there is out there. And it's a really powerful thing too. Just as powerful as the feelings of pain, those are maybe even more powerful, the feelings of joy that you get after. And
Totally.
yeah, I think that's awesome.
It is awesome. It's the good news.
Exactly.
Let's say it's not me sitting here right now.
Mm-hmm.
And let's say it's someone else who is asking you this question, the question they're asking you is, dude, is this really going to be worth it? What would you say to somebody that's like, I don't know. There's a lot of pain down there for me. Spiritual teacher, is this really going to be worth it?
I think that in order to know whether or not something's worth it, you have to try first. There's like a law about that. And it's the law of faith. You have to have hope when you step in the dark that you're going to move in the right direction. And if you can at least hope and have a little bit of faith, that's all you need. You can just keep trying and see what the results will be for yourself. See if it's worth it, because everyone's perspective of worth it is different. So it's hard to answer. But when you have a little bit of faith, that will always have greater dividends than whatever the effort or the pain was that you had to go through. That's kind of a tough question.
It's like, how much do you want what you want?
Mm-hmm.
You want a better relationship with your partner. You want to be a better father, a better mom. You want to have a better career. You want to feel more hope in your life. Whatever it is that you want, how bad do you want it? Because the price is pain.
Mm-hmm.
It always will be. It always has been and always will be. And in the world we live in now, it's become a lot more, the price is specifically a lot more emotional pain compared to, it's just a different time. It's not World War II. It's not the Great Depression.
True.
So it's more emotional. So it's the choice to how bad do you want it? If you want it bad enough, it'll feel like you don't have a choice.
The desperation will be there.
Which is a beautiful thing. That's how I felt when I was 18 years old.
Same.
I don't have a choice. I already know what my life is like when I'm not submitting. And I had no idea of that intellectually. I had no intellectual understanding of that. I just knew I wasn't happy. I had a lot of emptiness. My relationships sucked. And see if this works. And it did take a choice for me. Like the choice for me definitely was, I'm going to try something different. I had no idea it was going to lead to me feeling pain. That wasn't ever a part of the plan. I was just a kid. I had no idea what I was doing, but I just knew I was going to try something different. And then this is naturally where the path leads you. If you're trying to put yourself in a good situation to follow truth, it always will lead you to surrendering to pain.
Change, yeah.
And
I love that. I think of it doesn't really matter if you think of it in a Christianity lens, if you're looking through that lens, or if you're looking through just life in general. How do people become extraordinary people? At some point, there aren't instructions, and they have to step through the dark and get there on their own and try and see what's out there and just want something different.
Totally.
And that's how I was thinking about this a few days ago, that when it comes to Christianity or God or Jesus and those things, it's sometimes they refer to it as an iron rod that you walk along with, to guide your path. And I don't think that the rod is always there. I think that there are moments where you're walking and you feel pretty confident, and then the rod stops and it's just darkness. And it's a test to see, are you going to keep walking forward, knowing you've already been moving in the right direction and hoping you're going to find the rod again when you walk that way. I think that this pain stuff is similar to that at some point you're going to have to, like you said, say, I want change. I know what this is and it sucks and I want something different. I'm going to see where that leads. And even if that's scary, or even if that's doesn't have instructions, I'm going to take a step and see what's out there. I think there's almost like a rule. some aspect that has to happen, and you have to take a step. Like,
Couldn't agree more. Even as a seed must break, that its heart may stand in the sun, so too must you know pain. Even as the seed must break, so too must you know pain. Your spirit is kind of like a seed at the beginning, and it grows into the light, ideally. Or you can stay in the darkness. People that are in the dark don't know they're in the dark.
yeah.
You don't know you're in the dark until someone flips the light on. You're like, oh my gosh, like there's a couch in here.
Yeah, exactly.
There's like
massage chairs in the corner.
there's a squirrel just like eating nuts in the corner. Whatever. Yeah, it's beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
One last question. Well, you know what? These are good questions. I think we should go through a couple of these. Last thing that I think is important as we wrap up, like what gifts come from it. How does feeling pain? How does allowing ourselves to feel pain? How does that lead to less fear in our life?
How does experiencing pain?
How does
fear?
willing to submit to pain and feel it
Mm.
and let go of it? How does that help us feel less fear in our life?
I mean, first thing that I think of is the definitions of fear, and what takes away fear. And I think that ties in with how you deal with pain. They're both pretty rooted in the truth.
Mm-hmm.
And if you want the pain that you're going through to be something that can be filled with something great, that space can be filled with something good, you follow the truth of things while you're working through your pain. I don't know any other way to get out of my pain than looking for the truth of the situation, of what I'm doing, of my surroundings, the worldview, my view, all that stuff. Just looking for the honest to God truth on things.
Mm.
And I think that when you start looking at truth more often, you start questioning your fears more often. Because once I got a grip on truth and like how important it is to just know the truth of things, then I was able to attack things that I questioned more easily. Because
Yeah, so that's really cool. I never thought about it that way, actually. It's like kind of what we we're going back to earlier. When we feel our pain, it actually, that internal fog, the seed breaks out of the ground, and now it can see things more for the way that they really are.
Mm-hmm.
Can you, like, how many people are in the ground, they're still in their seeds, and they're like, trust me, it's not that great out there. Or like, trust me, like, you don't want to walk that way in the sun. You want to walk this way.
If you want to get rid of fear, fear is just lies of the future, lies about the future, how you see it, all that stuff. So get a better grip on the truth and you can combat the fears more easily. That's like kind of how my brain processes that. But
I like this side of it too, which is think about the things that most people are deeply afraid of. They're afraid of loss.
mm,
They're afraid of losing their job, of losing a relationship. They're afraid of whatever, some event happening in their life. If we go underneath the fear, what they're afraid of is they're afraid of pain, because all those things will bring pain. But if you start having experiences that I know how to submit to pain, I know how to let go of it, I don't have to be afraid anymore.
I can deal with that.
There's nothing that, like, okay, my whole family, I love my girls. I love my kids more than anything. My wife, they're so awesome. The most traumatic thing that could happen in my life is all of them die in a plane crash. I don't want to discount that. That would be very heavy but it's just pain. It's just emotional pain. It's pretty deep pain because I love them and it would be deep, but I'd be okay. I would feel it. I'd probably take some time off and really grieve but I'm not afraid of that because it's just pain. Most of people's deepest fears it's not a fear of getting raped. It's not a fear of losing my spouse. It's a fear of pain is what it is. So
the feelings after kind of a thing.
I'm afraid my spouse is going to leave me. What is that really? It's pain. this doesn't sound exciting, but if pain starts to become your friend, like you welcome it in, you let it in, you welcome it, you live a very full life with no fear. Now, there's still fear that can come from thoughts and the ego and Satan, and we'll talk about that. But
can you imagine, like, to all the people listening, like, can you imagine what life would be like if you didn't have that fear? What your life would be like? How many more choices you'd make for yourself, for other people? Like, wow.
It's so beautiful because your state can only be in the past or the present or the future at any given moment. I'm either thinking about the past, the future. Okay, if you heal from your past, it also to some degree heals you of your future. You're not afraid as much. So it really dials you in to be so much more present and in the moment where all peace resides. So I love if you want to see your future, you have to heal first your past.
So you can be in the present.
Yes. Where you can understand all these cool mysteries about, your life and who you are. And
wow. That's a really cool way to look at it.
So that's another huge gift. I've felt that for sure a lot. I probably should be more afraid of things. I take too many unnecessary risks.
You are a fearless person. We did cliff jumping in Hawaii, and this guy is fearless.
Don't tell my wife any of those stories. Please.
No details.
Wife, don't listen to this part. So, okay. So I think there's some people that are like, okay, can we please just get on to the part where we talk about like how to actually let go of some of this? This is super important. This question before we dive into the how to is, why is it important to heal the present? Why is it important to heal the present before we try to heal from our past pain? In other words, why is it so important for things in our current life to be stable before we try to dig up, pain from our past?
We've talked about this a few times before.
I think we have. Yeah.
First thing that comes to my mind is like, it's really hard to add extra to your life when you're not balancing your current life. How do you go back and deal with all these hard emotions and things that happened and things you don't remember or understand? And when you're not fully resolved or mostly resolved in your day-to-day life, that could really throw you off. If you don't have like a routine or a consistency to what you're doing, that could be really hard to stay stable when you're doing that, coming back and doing all that.
Not only is it hard and messy, but it doesn't work. Why does it not work? Because your spirit holds the keys to access this pain. In your spirit, the nature of everyone's spirit is calmness and stillness and balance. That's the true nature of everyone's spirit. So it requires stillness and balance in your life to be able to access it anyways. People think what's crazy is that another great deception that happens, people's life can be a mess and they can intellectually access that pain, but not actually feel it. And they think they're doing the work when they're not.
They're just thinking through it.
And there's some other methods, with, some psychedelics perhaps where people can, perhaps access that even if their life is messy and chaotic and whatever. But there still has to be this surrender to it out of that state, I believe, is what I've seen. I don't want to discount any of that stuff because I've seen it be beneficial for people.
Totally.
For sure. It can show you things. So there's three things that I've seen what does it mean to heal from the present before going and digging up past pain and feeling that? Well, so you need awareness. Awareness is key. You need to be aware of where you need to be aware. And I love what you said earlier. You need to be aware and honest about where am I actually at right now? Am I actually balanced? And how do I know if I'm balanced? Well, The other part of this is your emotions will tell you. Every emotion is your body trying to tell you what you need. Mm-hmm. And the spirit, the other key, if you to access pain, is your spirit's going to make sure that you are listening to the frustration that's coming up for you, the anxiety, and changing your perspective, finding the truth, finding the balance that you need so you can satisfy those negative feelings. Don't just manage them, listen to them. And then your spirit, your life and your spirit is going to be more at peace, and it's going to be like, okay,
That's a lot more conducive to being able to feel those things and process and have that, spirit present with you.
Totally.
I like that.
So to make it more simple, you basically current emotions first. Don't try to dive deep into stuff like current emotions. What am I feeling now in my life? Okay, there's stress from work. Okay, I got to listen to that.
Mm-hmm.
And, okay, there's some anxiety in my relationship. Okay, I got to look at that. I got to start sifting through these things and understand what my emotions are telling me. And on our website, there's the emotional guide on there. There's all these resources you can use. And then you can ask us questions on here that we'll answer too. The other thing that we've been talking about that is so key to healing the present is you have to have, I don't want to say have to, but it's really recommended that you have a consistent spiritual practice and connection.
Mm-hmm. What are spiritual practices, Corey?
Well, your spirit is made up of truth.
Mm-hmm.
And so you have to regularly be intaking truth. You have to be putting it in. And that actually makes your spirit really happy. And going back to this dark room visual, like if your spirit is full of more light, then you start to see what you need to be able to heal in the first place, to be able to know what you need to let go of.
Mm-hmm. Someone that I really love recently told me, because they're working on these things, and they were like, whenever I do this practice, it's like a light is on while I'm doing it. And then the second I stop, the light turns off. And then I do that again tomorrow and the light turns on and I get to see, and then the light goes off when I stop. And I was like, so do you want more light so you can see more often? And she was like, yes. Like, what should I do? I was like, I think you're already doing these things. And she's been adding these things to her day to day and shares with me how much more she gets to see with the light on, how much that lights up her life by doing these practices. So I love that analogy that it flips the light on for you. And it's not a guarantee of how long that light's going to be on, but you can always know that by doing those things, it can help you flip that light on.
And that's awesome, man.
It's really been cool to hear.
It's awesome. If you haven't listened to some of the other podcasts, we talk extensively about like all the other things that you can do, nature, prayer, meditation. There's so many spiritual practices. Start incorporating a couple of those, and you're right where you should be to be able to start healing and letting go of things. I think my favorite thing about this natural order of healing of I have to heal this present moment more before I go to the past. What I love about it more than anything is it weeds out the pretenders. You cannot fake this stuff. You actually have to be spiritually connected if you want to let go. You actually have to be listening to your emotions and acting on them. God and people's most despised characteristic in human beings is hypocrites, hypocrisy. And it's my favorite thing about the healing journey because it weeds out all the fakes.
Pretty quickly,
It's just a cool,
Yeah.
And I used to be one of them, so I know.
Me too.
Yeah. So healing begins in the here and now. The stronger and more conscious we become in the present, the more we can revisit the past with a heart that is ready to feel and release and forgive and integrate rather than relive old wounds. So I think that is maybe a good way to wrap this up is like, if we're trying to skip that step of healing the present, then we just end up reliving the old wounds. It's the cycle of suffering. And in Buddhism, I'm actually swimming against the current because the current is first going to take me to the present moment where I need to connect spiritually and I need to listen to my emotions.
Mm-hmm.
And then it will take me to the past. And then it will take me back to the present where I am pain free. I can just be. It's a beautiful spot. It's a beautiful spot. I just want to say that I am a witness of this, that it really is a reality that your past pain door can be completely closed. If your past door is completely closed of pain, what is there left to do other than just be in the present moment and feel the peace that is there, and to go out and help other people and to just live this full life? It's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing. So, any other thoughts before we talk about steps to let go of pain?
Let's get into them.
Okay. I'm spiritually connected as best as I can for now, and I'm listening to my emotions. I'm feeling pretty balanced. I'm feeling pretty good. Now I'm ready. How do I actually access this pain from a year ago, 10 years ago, 10 days ago?
Mm-hmm.
I just want to say what Adam said on our last podcast was beautiful. He said, what's more important than skill is who you are and the strong desire. 90% of this is if you really want to access that pain, it becomes pretty natural and instinctive. Like our spirit knows how to heal. I love my 2-year-old daughter. Her name's Sage, and when she falls all the time, she runs around like crazy and just falls, and she has bruises all over her back. We're like, what? But when she falls hard, what's very natural and instinctive, like think about it, she falls and skids her knee on the ground. What is the first thing that she's going to do? She's going to cry.
Probably.
She's going to feel the pain.
Mm-hmm.
And then what's the next thing that she's going to do? She's going to say, mommy, or dad. And then she's going to run and receive this comfort.
Mm-hmm.
And then what do you know? And we put a Band-Aid on it,
All better.
You'll be okay. Yeah. And she's totally fine. Right?
Runs back up, falls again.
And falls again. Same thing 2 minutes later. So it's so beautiful. Younger kids are so much closer to their spirit than we are as adults. So we can learn a lot from how they heal. Mm-hmm. It's the same process, the same steps. But we just what's changed then? Well, the ego or Satan has taken over and deceived us quite a bit more than we think. And then we're more stuck in thinking who we are as our actual physical self and not this pure spirit.
Yeah.
So it's natural and instinctive if you're ready and if you're really there, but these can be some helpful steps. The first step to bring up pain is you want to identify the event or the relationship. So what is it specifically connected to? Now, if you were listening to your emotions before, you would have had maybe triggers come up from your past. And the whole point of a trigger is to ask yourself, okay, what is this connected to? Where is this coming from?
Mm-hmm.
So reflection is necessary. You can play some catch up on that. Okay, what is this really connected to? Is it my mom? Is it my dad? Is it an event? I'll say this is where it's really helpful to have a guide. I needed a guide. I'll just say this. It's really important to have a guide in this phase. If you're a prodigy, if you're pretty impressive, then there's no reason you can't do it alone, I guess. So you want to identify what it is, what it's connected to, identify the event or relationship, write down and see your pain. Ask yourself questions like, what is the most hurtful aspect of this event? What is so sad about the impact that this has had on me? You're starting to gain a little bit more emotional understanding, because remember, this pain is in your past. Means this pain is like this sad little boy or girl that's sitting on the bench 300 feet away from your house. It's been ignored. It hasn't been seen. And so you got to see it. So what's coming up for you as we talk about this?
How really real it is when you get into those thoughts and you let those feelings come up, how real those scenarios and those situations really were. The reality that, that thing that happened when you're 15, there's still that 15-year-old version of yourself that's like frozen in time, still feeling that, still confused, still wondering, who's at fault here? Am I supposed to be guilty? I didn't know what I was supposed to feel. Asking these questions to themselves until you go down and you meet with them and you answer those questions for them with the new knowledge that you have and the wisdom that you have over the time that you've been alive. Like you have a service to provide to yourself.
It's so cool to hear you talk about it, because I know it's coming from a place of like, you've done this. And, I think you are blessed with some gifts that a lot of people don't have, like this gift of just of bearing down in a lot of sincerity and meaning. And you're such a sincere human being. And the hope for people that maybe don't have this as naturally as you is, a lot of people ask the questions like, well, what if I can't remember my past very well? It actually doesn't matter, because most people ask themselves the wrong questions. And a lot of times the wrong question is, what events have caused me all this pain? And that question's fine. But really, and they're trying to like, well, I can't really remember the events. Like,
yeah.
But really, a better question is, what relationship has really caused me pain? What relationship has really affected my self-worth? That's a better question. Like we talked about last time, it's not all parents. Most of it, from my experience, but what relationship has really affected my worth or who I am? That's a great question. And the cool thing is you don't have to be able to see the pain sitting on the bench. You don't have to remember all these specifics. You just need to be able to create a narrative that is, I've even made stuff up, but it's visuals that I've kind of created, but they're in line with what I was really feeling when I was 15. Mm-hmm. The visual of, I don't know, really wanting to connect with my dad, and, this visual of my dad turning his back and walking the other way, that actually didn't happen, but maybe to some degree that's how I felt. And so that the pain will be like, he's doing it. Mm-hmm. He's really seeing me after 10 years, after 20 years. And so the pain will start to get really closer to your door. And what really kind of solidifies you being able to bring this up and feel it is you turn this into a visual. There's many ways to do this. I'm not saying that this is the only way, but this is a universal way that seems to work pretty well, is if people can start to watch this narrative like a movie. Mm-hmm. And that really brings the pain alive, and it rushes. Totally. Because it wants to leave your body, but your spirit won't allow it to unless you see it for what it is.
Mm-hmm. It's just got to be through the proper channels.
Yep. That's beautiful. It's got to be through the proper channels. And so visualize it. And then once you visualize it and are really, the cool thing about visualization is a lot of things, but we don't have to go into detail, is it helps you stay very focused and present. And it just makes it very real. And then once you start to visualize it, the pain will start to emerge within. And that's good. And it can feel like a bitter poison. It can feel really uncomfortable. And your natural reaction is going to be to start thinking about something. Orange juice.
Yeah. Whatever, anything. Yeah.
Or whatever. So this is a really key moment in the healing journey. This is a really key moment, because your body or your spirit can only do one thing at a time. It can only either think or feel. So if you're thinking, you're not actually feeling. And if you're surrendering to feeling, there's no thoughts. So you want to choose to go back, choose to feel and not think. Now, thoughts are certainly going to come up, but then it's just a refocusing, kind of like meditation. It's a refocus. And this pain, you only really need to feel it for 30 seconds to a minute. and feel it intensely, fully let it take over, surrender to it completely. Trust that it is your internal physician trying to heal you. And it will. And you might need to go back to it a few times, depending on how deep it is. But after one time, it's like it goes from a 9 to a 6, 6 to a 5, 6 to, 4 to a 3, whatever. The goal is to get it down to like a 3.
Mm-hmm.
That's enough to be able to move on to the next step, which is learning the deeper lesson. It's a little bit different for parents if it's a parent wound, but generally speaking, the process is feeling it and then some meaningful reflection on what's the deeper lesson here, and then acting on it.
Mm-hmm.
Feel, reflect, act.
The steps of pain.
If you have benefited from this podcast in any way, it would mean the world to us to have you subscribe, to allow us to keep it going and bring on inspirational human beings.